definitely one of the big benefits. But I have a list on my site, Passionate Pen, which also talks about what questions to ask an agent when you're getting ready to hire them. If they've accepted you and have said yes, they want to represent you, you're having a job interview and you need to ask questions. There's a site called Predators and Editors, which I don't have the. There's a link from Passionate Pen if they really want to get there, which lists agents that are and aren't recommended based on. I mean, I don't know. We can kind of go over if you want to the do's and don'ts, basic do's and don'ts.
Good.
In publishing, money should only flow in one direction, and that's toward the author.
Right.
You should never pay a publisher to publish your manuscript. You should never pay an editor to edit your manuscript. It's working for a publishing house that you're trying to work with.
And you should never pay someone who an agent to read.
Yes, you should never. Reading fees are a big no-no. Yeah. That's always a big red flag. And also, if they recommend you to a book doctor that you're going to pay, that's always a red flag because generally they're kind of working in tandem. I would not work with an agent who also is a publisher. I know that there are a couple that are out there that say that but the problem is that your agent should be making money by selling your book.
Right.
If they're making money any other way, that's iffy to me. And an agent, you pay 15% is standard percentage. It shouldn't be more than that, except for there are some sub-rights that you pay a little bit more. But for most people, the basic understanding should be 15%. And they should not be charging you reading fees. If occasionally there are a few out there that are acceptable that do charge for things like copying or mailing things. But generally that comes out of when you sell.
Right.
You shouldn't be paying that up front. Because they shouldn't be making money off of you until they make money for you. And you should be paying that 15% once you sell. You shouldn't be paying what they think 15% will be. You should just not be paying anyone until you sell, and then the only time you should be paying someone is when you pay your agent.
And technically, you're not sending them a check. They're getting the check from the publisher, and they're keeping it and taking their 15% and then sending you a check.
Right, or the publisher is splitting checks, which isn't as common, but that's how I get paid. My publisher writes me a check for the amount, and they write her a check for the 15% that she gets, and everyone gets their check.
My publisher
but you
sends
don't,
my
you're
check
not,
to my agent.
Yeah, I think more common now. I think split checks used to be more common, but there are two ways to do it, and both of them are acceptable. But you shouldn't be writing your agent a check. Your agent should be getting that directly from the publisher, one way or the other, either from the whole that they take out themselves or from them just sending them a check. What else I can think of? Like they shouldn't bulk send things. I mean, your manuscript should not be sent in a box with 35 other manuscripts to some random editor. That's not good.
Have you heard of anyone doing that?
There's always someone. I mean, there's definitely always. It's different if sometimes I think editors sometimes send back a couple manuscripts to an agent at the same time. That's fine because they're just consolidating. But they shouldn't. Your manuscript should be going out individually to an individual editor who actually takes the work that you do. And honestly, the thing about an agent is that if you get one who has a bad reputation, an agent's reputation goes on to you no matter what. If it's a good reputation, then they might say, well, I know that, Miriam, my agent, has sold this, this person who became this big bestseller. Not me, somebody else. And so, well, she and I have worked well together in the past, and I know she picks good authors. So, she may move your manuscript to the top of the pile because you have an agent who the editor has a good relationship with. If you have an agent who's a shyster, then they may not even read your book at all because they just don't want to deal with that. Even if the shyster agent happens to luckily send it to someone who might want to buy your book, they might not even read it. So it's always better to do your homework and do it before you hire someone, because afterward it gets just way more complicated and disappointing.
Two things I wanted to say about that. First, about RWA, they kind of pre-sift things for us because for an editor or for a publishing house or an agent to belong on the approved list, they have to meet the criteria that Jenna was talking about. And keep talking because now I forgot to say something. So.
But yeah, they have a list. It's not necessarily as comprehensive, and that's the other thing. Don't trust anybody else to do your research. You can come on to Passionate Pen and you know that, okay, these are people that at least on the surface don't accept fees. You know, don't charge fees, or that they on the surface take romance, or on the surface with RWA they've jumped through some hoops. That doesn't mean they're a good agent. Doesn't mean they're a bad agent. It means that
because there's some agents that's been removed from their approved list.
And honestly, I mean,
and houses, publishing houses.
Every agent is not going to be the best match for you. I mean, if you need certain things from that relationship and your agent isn't giving them to you, it's not working, you know. Or if they're not submitting to the people that you want to submit to, or they're encouraging you to write something that you're not comfortable writing. And every agent that I've had has been an RWA approved agent. They've been a great agent for somebody else. They just weren't for me, you know.
From personal experience. Okay.
And it absolutely does not mean that those agents are not good agents, or that they don't, you know.
You're not going to get a copy of this.
Oh, well, and honestly, I think both of them would probably say the same thing. It just was a bad match. It just wasn't the right fit.
It's like every relationship is not. Okay.
So I think doing your home, and sometimes you're not, you know, you're not going to get that from homework. But I mean, I don't think you should trust nobody in your career is going to care as much about your career as you do.
Right.
Even if you have the best agent in the world, it's still going to come down to your career is number one in your life.
And there's a saying that's true. Having no agent is better than having a bad agent. Seriously.
So it's definitely, I mean, that's one of the main things. I get a lot of email from Passionate Pen about that issue, because I talk about agents a lot. I actually have an agent workshop that I teach. And a lot of times it's people saying, well, I hired this agent and now they want me to do X, pay them money, you know, give them this, do that. The things that are clearly, I call it wonky, like wonky. It would have been so much better. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, I do a search, and in 10 minutes I find out that they're wonky, and I could have told them that. I don't know why they didn't do that research themselves before, because you're essentially putting your career in somebody else's hands and saying, I trust you to take care of certain things for me. I mean, you wouldn't leave your kid with somebody who you didn't check out a little bit, you know, who didn't do some kind of, you know, some kind of cursory, you know, and obviously your manuscript isn't as important as your child, but in your career, it is your child. This, you know, you're giving over that care of that part of your career to somebody else. So, I mean, at least check the background on your babysitter for.
You know, I wanted to go back to the book doctor that you were